Hello, Steve. Are you there?
How are you?
Steve,
Good, thanks.
Patrick.
it's a Friday evening, a balmy Friday evening in England, is that
Yeah.
right?
It's the morning for you, right? It's
Yeah.
gotta be.
Yeah.
We've just woken up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, don't worry. I'm about to wake down. Yeah, looking good.
Whereabouts are you at the moment, Steve?
I'm in Brighton,
Yep.
on the south coast of England.
Yep.
Yeah, this is where my place is. My partner, who's just popped out to see a friend, she's lives in Berlin. So, and we're off. Well, we're going to stay with friends tomorrow for a Christmas party, and then we're off to her family in Germany.
Oh,
So,
lovely.
it's kind of, I want to get everything, get the decks cleared before, and just switch off.
Is that Christmas in Berlin?
Near Frankfurt. I don't know if
Okay.
you know it. Bad Homburg round there. So that's where a brother is, and we're going to stay with them. We've got friends there. There's even a bunch of us that they're actually in my band, the German Sleeves. I've got a band here, but everyone's cool about it. But when I play in Europe, sometimes it's easier just to get them, especially if we're in Germany. New Year's in Berlin. We come back down on train. We're flying off actually day after tomorrow from our friends in Essex, and then it's like a couple of weeks really, little family trip, and ending up in Berlin with some friends on their rooftop, which is only 15 minutes walk from us for New Year's. You don't want to be in the streets in Berlin on New Year's Eve. It's like, I'm not kidding, it's like a war zone because of the fireworks and the smoke. It's like, oh my God. And it's in East Berlin, which I love. I mean, I love the history of that, And we're only a walk from the wall, the East Mall, which is the biggest section of the Berlin Wall that stands.
And it's not far from Spandau itself.
Every time I go to Berlin, I get off at the airport, at the Brandenburg airport, and every train I get, right at the front, Spandau. Every time, because I have to go that direction. The times I've had to stand there waiting for various people, waiting for a train, just so they can time it and get it coming. I'm going,
is the Spandau building still there? It was
like
prison,
a fortified castle kind of thing. The story of that, it was the Nazi who got away with it, Albert Speer.
Rudolf Hess was there?
Well, he was in there with Hess, you see.
Yeah.
And then he only had a 20-year sentence, Albert Speer, because he talked his way out of it. Bearing in mind, most people didn't. They were still wearing their uniform. He didn't. He wore like a suit in the Nuremberg trials. All that helped him out, and his cleverness, So he was in there, got let out after 20 years, which left Rudolf Hess on his own. And I think at some point in the 80s or so, or even somewhere, I'm not exactly sure, but he committed suicide. He couldn't stand it,
I don't quite know how to segue from this to our podcast, but I'll try.
Well, you know what we could do? When in 1989, Spandau, we were on tour in Berlin, and the wall was just coming down. So we all went off, and we were all chipping away at the wall.
Really?
Trying to get a little piece. I was there. I got some, I don't know, a small chisel or something, or even a pen, and I'm just going like that on the end of this wall. It took me about 15 minutes, and I had this lump came out of it. I was so proud. And then I remember taking it all the way home and thinking I got that out of there myself. And when I got home, I just saw it in my case, and thinking back, it must have been this. I couldn't find it because for ages afterwards, I'd got it and thought, what's this old crap? Well, that must have just dropped in and threw it away. They sell them now. They say that these little things are from Berlin. You never know, but they get a profit.
It could have been your pension fund sorted out right there.
Oh no, it's not for the money. It's just to have that connection for me.
Yeah.
I mean, for now, it would be like that story I told you. It would all come back. I look at it, and there it is. It's in here though. Never goes, does it?
Yeah. That's fantastic. So, Graham.
Yes, I'd like to take us back to 1979, if I could. This part of our musical history fascinates me because there was a time in 79, 80, I grew up in Brisbane in Queensland, and we were exclusively seeing bands, usually bands coming out from the UK, in venues. And in 81, there was this noticeable shift where kids were going to a club to dance to music, which wasn't happening in previous years. And I always remember Spandau Ballet as being at the forefront of this sort of change. When you were working on your first single, did you see yourselves as doing something quite revolutionary, or was this just like a natural direction for you to go in?
No, well, the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
I have to take you back a little bit further, really, because
Sure.
I formed the band in 1976 because me and Gary had been friends for a couple of years, and I just, even with Steve Dagger, the manager, he's still the Spandau's manager. We all went to the same school. Luckily we could walk to school from where I lived. I could walk to Soho, where the Blitz was, and the Covent Garden, the West End. Everything was in reach, where everyone would come all over the country, which they did to go at the Blitz,
Yeah.
My life would have changed if I'd have been born somewhere else. But luckily I was there. And I remember going to see Gary playing in Camden, open air, with his band. He had a band. And they were really good. They just went through different genres, but really good players. The keyboard player, Jess Bailey, we eventually used on the first Spandau tours. Yeah. And another guy who turned up, I'd never met him before, was Steve Dagger. He was in a year above. Or was it 2 years above, in fact? So he lived my way. We'd walk home and we'd have these conversations all the time. We got to get Gary out of that band. I want to form a new band with him. We talked about it, me and Gary, but he wouldn't commit. So he was in the loop very early on, Steve Dagger. And and then Gary and I became very close. Our sort of affinity with guitars, really, but bands, and we ended up. We would listen. He would introduce me to things like the American Little Feat, all that kind of stuff. Really more what he'd got from members of his band, And I introduced him to the music that I loved growing up. I like all types of music, but it was really Motown and soul. So I'd have Stevie Wonder. I'd give, we'd lend each other these albums. That's what you did when you're that age, even at school. Your friends, you just have them for a week or two and then give them back. And that's how we could share the music and hear about it, because we didn't have any money. Yeah. And so I remember even with Marvin Gaye and all that stuff, But here's an interesting one for you. One of the albums I did lend him was Al Green's. I think it was the greatest hits of Al Green. He's on the front cover. He's going like this with his top off. That's it. And there was Let's Stay Together on it. And I'm so tired of being alone, maybe. And but there was another one that went la 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 la, oh dear, ding ding ding. I don't know if that rings a bell. Excuse my voice, I'm a bit croaky. But anyway, he admitted it years later that was the influence for True, because it's. It's amazing. I'm glad he fessed up there. I'm really glad he fessed up.
Is this public knowledge, Steve?
Yeah, well, he said it since. Yeah, I wouldn't have said it, right? Because I'm certainly not taking credit for it, even though I wound him up about it. I lent you that. I should get and all that. But no. But anyway, going back to where we went out everywhere, Gary and I. Ran there for a couple of years. This is 1975, late 74. We were 14, 15, still at school. And we would go and see all the bands over London and all the pubs. And, it was a really healthy pub rock scene back then. And we loved live music. And we saw a lot of sort of funky stuff, and a band called never heard of them since, but they were really funky, played the marquee, different genres, even saw AC/DC
Wow.
at the Marquee in Wardour Street in London a few times. And I'll tell you what, it was before they broke. And
Yeah.
there was like, it was half empty, the place. I kid you not.
Wow.
And I remember standing near the stage. Spandau Ballet do a couple of times later on.
Yeah.
Not as Spandau, but, as we were getting into it. And, I remember Bon Scott was singing.
Yeah.
Angus Young was there, of course, all the original members.
Yeah.
Most people in the bar behind, and there was like a big gap between the stage and the audience. People were a bit reticent. They always do that. It takes one or two to go to the front, doesn't it? And then Bon Scott walked down the stairs. Angus Young, he turned around. Angus Young then got on his shoulders. So he's now carrying him. And I remember that's when I sort of was the one that went forward. I thought, he can't be on his own here, this is really special. And they literally were here walking by me like that. And I remember my vision was not his face, Bon Scott, but I was well into guitar. So I was watching what he was doing, Angus Young. And I really know that that vision, it's all there. He was playing then like he does now. I kid you not. He was that good. Because, I was getting a bit fluid with my guitar playing, even though I'd only been playing like a year or so, It was like everything when you're like young goes like that, It's really quick, isn't it? And like, I just thought that is the most incredible thing. And it was only a little bit later, poor Bon left us But because we were looking at all these exciting bands, we'd see a lot there. We saw Secret Affair, Eddie and the Hot Rods, they were a big one. Then Steve Dagger said to me and Gary, you got to come and see this band. And they're playing at the Screen on the Green, which was literally a walk from our school. Everything was within walking distance. We walked along, me, Steve and Gary, and like outside this, it was a cinema, was this amazing sight. All these punks, we hadn't really seen it, This is 76. That then galvanised Gary.
Yeah.
Remember that? So when we got to school, I was already at every lunchtime playing drums because I always liked I wanted to be a drummer when I first sort of inspired. But living in a council flat, full floor, no money, neighbours, it weren't going to happen. But I was very good on my mate who had rich parents. He had a proper drum kit in his bedroom and he hated me for it because I could play, But anyway, it wasn't going to be that, so I picked up a guitar instead. And so I forget where we were. Yeah, so there we were. And outside before we walked in, here's a nice story. Just to the side of the cinema is where the sort of loading is. And this transit van went in, and the door opened, and it was like the Beatles. The Buzzcocks spilled out the back of this transit. And one by one, they spilled out. Last one was Pete Shelley, and he had this Arbiter cheap Woolworths. Remember Woolworths?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really cheap one, and he'd sawed the top off of it. I thought that was dead cool, really did. And then we went in, and it was the most incredible experience. All these people that have been into this movement for so long, yet we didn't even have an inkling. We were looking all over the place for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the energy, and also there was tunes and like the look and everything. It was a movement. We were a little bit too late for it, but what a lineup. First band on was the Buzzcocks, followed by the Clash, and then the Sex Pistols. I mean, come on, really? And we were there. I had Foster Grant glasses on, longer hair, and flares. And Gary was a bit like that. Next day, that was it. Those flares had to go out the window, But that's now legendary. There's millions of people say they're at that show, but we were genuinely there. Ask Gary or Steve.
So was this during summer holidays, or did you?
Well, yeah, it must have been because we were at school. But even like when we got back from school, we would go out and go and see, because we didn't live far from the West. It was all there. We didn't have to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
anywhere. The furthest we went was Basildon, this club called
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Double Six. I
yeah.
think to see Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're from
That's where
Basildon,
they
aren't
were.
they?
It
yeah,
was all
yeah, yeah,
little pubs everyone did.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that, we really sort of trod the boards. We spent quite a bit of time. I mean, when I was playing drums in the drama room, not just after that, it was the music room of school in lunchtime. So I used to go in there, set the drum kit up in an hour and play drums on my own, just to play,
Wow.
because I enjoyed it. I never practice or anything. I play with anything.
Mm.
And then this kid who I'd never met before, who was in the year above, he suddenly turned up. He knew that there was this other kid that was interested in drums. And that guy got on with him immediately, was John Keeble.
Yeah.
And, immediately like that,
Yeah.
he was the drummer, no brainer. And then there was, there was another guy, Michael Ellison, who was the first bass player. And we didn't know him at all. He wasn't really part of our crowd, but he's a nice guy. We're still mates, and mates of all of them, yeah. All the ex-bass players.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, but he did have a PA as well, which was quite handy. Don't tell him that.
That's amazing.
No, but he was, he left. We didn't kick him out. He left. So it's just very handy. And he also knew we didn't have much like amplifiers, not many, And he said, "Oh, I've got a friend who's willing to lend you an amp." And he came down, this friend, with this big sort of cabinet, and it was Tom Robinson.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
If you know Tom Robinson,
Yeah,
listen to his radio shows. He always gives bands a lift up. He's one of those, it's like sales, really. You're looking for the really nitty gritty and what holds a band, the gel and the glue that holds a band together, what makes it happen. But anyway, I remember looking up the stairs and thinking, oh my God, like there's Tom Robinson and one of the others carrying up this heavy cabinet. And he turned around at the turn of the stairs, and on the side it had kinks. I'm like, what? I've already made it, and we haven't even done a gig yet.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I've told him about this, Tom. He's lovely, Tom. So the drums anyway. I didn't want to be the drummer. John was in, and Michael was in, of course, at that point. And Gary, he was now committed. And then this kid who was in my year came up to him in the sixth form common room in the corridor, and he always wore a leather jacket. It was a bit like this, very tall. Nice kid.
Yeah.
I knew he was nice, but he was always a bit like that.
Yeah.
And he leered over me. I was like, I thought he was picking for a fight. He was like, yeah, I hear you're looking for a singer for your band. I'll sing for you. It was Tony Hadley. He was in. That was a no-brainer as well. Wonderful memories. That's 76, that was.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that went on before that. We then trod the boards for a little while. The bass player left. I was the bass player for a little while just to fill in until we found Richard Miller, who was our player for a while. He's still a close mate. And then Richard Miller, he left, and Martin Kemp come in. I mean, we couldn't resist Martin because he used to come and help out with all the gear. He was 2 years younger, but I knew him because I used to kip around Gary's house, on the bedroom floor. He'd do the same to me. I knew his family. I knew Martin. I knew Martin since he was 13, really. But he blossomed really quickly.
Yeah.
And I remember turning around at this pub in 1977, I think it was. And I said to Steve Dagger, "Steve, what's going on here? Look at Martin. I said, I'm in the band, and there's a satellite of girls around Martin, that really was it. And we taught him how to play bass. He couldn't play bass.
He became a great bass player really quickly.
So just before then, it was getting despondent. We tried getting a contract. I was really in touch. I was working in the print at that point, so I was delivering the post to the enemy. And they would sit me down and say, "What do you think of this new single? It's from the Pistols, you know." And sit there in like the executive chair. They're all looking because they know I've just come from the gigs. You know, they're out of touch, long hair hippies, you know. And it played. I remember one of them was like, Holidays in the Sun.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, isn't that the riff from In the City by the Jam? And they looked at each other and went, "He's right, you know. I knew my stuff because I was out there, you know."
Yeah.
And then, but anyway, that didn't happen for a couple of years. And then all of a sudden, Steve Dagger again, he said, "You've got to come to this club." And we went down to this club called Billy's prior to the Blitz. And it was around a corner in Soho, perfect. And we walked down, me and Gary, and like, wow. It was like this pulsing electronica as you go down the steps. And then these people that were looking, not like they did later, too flamboyant, but it was something going on. Peacock punks, you know, it was ex-punks that were disillusioned and wanted a future.
Yeah.
Oh, there isn't one, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like, so all those people and designers, that was working. It got popular within a very few months. So Steve Strange, who was running it, and Rusty Egan, both dear friends of mine. Steve gone now, bless him. But, you know, he was responsible for kind of, in a way, he was more into the look. And Rusty was the DJ always. And they just got a bigger place and moved not far away to the Blitz.
Yeah.
And that was it. So in a way, you can look at it and go, not solely, but Rusty was definitely very responsible for the sound of the 80s.
Yeah.
Bring a lot of electronic music in. Like,
so do you think the Spandau Ballet sound would have been different if it hadn't been for Rusty and what he was playing?
You could snip away with this, but yeah, it most definitely would, because once we'd experienced that and then on to the Blitz, you know, we were losing heart, and it kind of like made us refocus. It's now the beat has changed, because it's no longer very fast or whatever, melodic stuff. It's now 4 on the floor, dance. You know what I mean? Suddenly, very quickly, we got it immediately, all of us, when we were in the Blitz. I remember that. And it's like, that's it. We became a dance band at that point, you know, as opposed to an R&B one, which we were before. But, you know, all of us decent musicians, and Gary being, you know, a great writer, he then immediately got inspired and he wrote like the first 2 singles, like to cut long story short. There was another early one called Eyes, funnily enough, which has just been released. I hadn't heard it since then. I kid you not, it's a demo. From 1979, I think. And it's just been put on a box set that we've released. It's a really interesting one. Everything is now. So there's that demo on there. I only heard it a few weeks back, you know, a few months ago, actually. And I was knocked out because I just went to that place and I hadn't heard it in all that time.
Oh, wow.
It's a lovely experience when that happens. Yeah, and he wrote the tunes. We immediately got into that dance groove. I thought, great, I'm loving this, but I fancy something else. We got into the Latin thing because the clubs of music changed. A bit more salsa, a bit more dance, you know, and I've got some congas. I was loving it. And then later on, you know, after the sax and whatever.
Do you remember the first time you heard the keyboard riff for To Cut a Long Story Short? Because it feels like that was almost like such a kind of a turning point.
Yeah, but it was written around that. I would say, Gary. No, Gary, I think it was written about around that riff.
Do you remember literally the first time you heard the riff, like in a particular rehearsal or?
I remember the riff. I don't know where we were and place exactly, but you know, it would have been in I think Halligan's rehearsal, because we've even got old photos of that. And there was this. We then immediately after hearing knowing the change of direction, we need a synthesizer. And so we were still sort of working at that point, as in we had normal jobs, you know, all in the print, most of us, which, you know, magazine stuff, So we had some money, which we put some towards guitar strings, even Tony. You know, we all mucked in. Guitar strings and also got, over here it's called on the drip, which is you get something you pay HP, so every monthly or whatever. I don't know what they call that now.
Hire purchase.
Hire purchase, thank you. Yeah. And then, you know, it took like a year or so to pay it off, quite a bit of time. But that's how we did it. And you know, he said, "Oh, let me use it," because we knew he was quite inspired. He was going to go in a different direction with the songs. Sadly, I gave up just before that. I don't know. I lost confidence in my writing, whereas me and Gary always shared the songs. But I just thought, you know what, this guy is a natural, and you know, I'm natural at other things. You know, so we focused on all our strengths, which is what we always did in Spandau, and off he did. He came back with that. He come back with other things. We had other tracks that haven't even made it to demos or at the album, you know. Confused was a big one. It was the only one which is on the first Spandau album, which was from that period that happened just before, the only track. But all that early stuff, I'd love to hear it. I don't even know if we've got anything recorded, you know, all those old tunes.
So not all of those demos and so on are on the boxed set?
Well, because I don't know if they even exist. We only cherry picked what we had, you know. But I can still hear the tunes in my head, and I'd love to hear them, like the joy that I got hearing Eyes, you know. It's like, wow, it's incredible. And I listened to what I was doing and what everyone's doing at the time. But, you know, that's the same for all periods. I've even got tapes back to 76 when we're playing 100 miles an hour, you know. John Keeble, my God, he played fast. Good job we don't do them tunes now. It was we knew immediately then, though, Duncan, in answer to your question, is that we you know, that we knew not just the band, but the whole thing in the Blitz. It was incredible. It was so fertile, so I don't know, inspiring, the whole lot. I always think, you know, you go on those nights and, you know, you'll be drinking this, that, and whatever, and then you wake up next day with a hangover. But during that, you're giving it all this, coming up with all these great ideas. Next morning, you just cannot remember it. And you don't even want to, in a way, you know. But it was weird with that, because every Tuesday night, from that point on, everyone would chat and collaborate. And if you needed this done, someone who does lights, well, I want to do it. I mean, anybody, you know, will have a go. A lot of designers, so whatever, you know, you had photographers, people could just be creative. It's so creative. And the difference between just getting rat-arsed and you know, just a night out was that the next day, we all did something about it. And we carried on those ideas and no one forgot. It's a weird thing, you know, you never took the eye off the ball there. And that was really quick. And before you know it, you know, we're on stage at the Blitz. We were the Blitz band, house band, even though we only played there twice. But no one else did, you see. No one else did. And and of course, Boy George, so jealous he was. You know, he was like, he shouted out to us once when we were doing a photo session in his squat where they were all sort of sharing a squat. He shouted out, it's 3:00 in the afternoon, he's just got up. He's from the top of the stairs. Hey, you still got that singer for you? I can sing better than him. Tony's standing, and we're all standing there posing, you know. And then I think it was John Keeble. He shouted out, well, if you don't like it, form a band then. Famous last words, eh?
He did.
Had you heard Boy George sing at that stage, or was he more of a face around town?
No, he was notorious, only because he was working in the sort of
Blitz
cloakroom part. And you know the story, he was like pilfering everybody through everyone's pockets, you know. And like Steve Strange, we were very close. So, in fact, it's you know, it's a bit. George told me this, right? He told me this, and myself and Gary and Martin and George, Boy George, and a couple of other guys, we carried Steve Strange's coffin. when he got buried. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And pallbearers. This is in Wales. And so we're following the coffin in the car with the sort of 6 of us. And Georgie's sitting there next to me at the back. And I said, well, how come you get to do this, George? You hated each other. And like in the journey, following the coffin, I'm sure you won't mind, but and he told me the story. When I got kicked out of there, all he wanted to do was get back in. And Steve would be looking around, and he caught him peeking 100 yards away, from behind a column. He's all done up in his gear. Do you imagine? And he's sneaking around trying to get in. And then Steve goes out, and he said this. He came out and he said, "Oi, O'Dowd, I know you're there. Now piss off. You're not coming in."
Yeah, it's interesting. The focus in relation to the Blitz era was about how everyone looked. But there was obviously so much more happening in terms of sound and in terms of writing about music and other aspects of design as well. Do you feel like sometimes the emphasis is kind of too much on the visual side of things when people talk about Blitz, or do you think it kind of has to be?
It's theatre as well. It's theatre. And I think, I always think, I do it a lot these days. What does a painting sound like? What does a piece of music look like? It's that, I don't know, it's synesthesia, isn't it? Kandinsky.
Yeah.
Some people, I don't have that, but it fascinates me. And, you hear some people hear music and they see the colours and the shapes, literally see them. And that, I love that joining up of all the sort of the genres of art, if that's right, So what is something? My daughter is a chef. I say to her, I can give that a sound, what that cake look is, or whatever is that piece of art, and it really is creative, and she's providing the smell of it, and it's like, I love all that. I think that's what we're doing more, isn't it? In in the arts. Is people are mixing up the genres, and comedy is a big one as well. I don't even know if that's considered an art. Most certainly,
it should be.
It should be. The art of comedy, because if you think about it, you look at a painting, and there's messages in there which you might not get in your lifetime, or later on you go, oh, I never noticed that before. It's symbolic or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or even you read poetry. You can misconstrue it, a lyric. Takes a while for it to register. You smell something, immediately, it takes you back to the last time you smelled it. You hear something, it's the same. Comedy is just as immediate. And I think to try and ban the arts, it is like the end of humanity, because we won't be able to express ourselves anymore.
Absolutely, yeah, I totally agree with that. I just wanted to mention that while Spandau were definitely producing dance music, the first album seemed to be like more electronic dance music, but on Diamond, you lent into like funk a bit more.
Yeah.
With Chant Number 1 and Paint Me Down. Was this also a response to the music in the clubs, or did you just go, we need to play funk at this point?
Well, we've always been a little bit ahead in some ways, because as soon as we've done something, it was when it was successful is the worst. Like when you have to go and tour the world of it, and you already want to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? It happened with the True album. We'd be touring that for 2 years. But already in your mind, as a musician, I want to go out and try something else. That's great and everything. Totally respect it. I'm not complaining. But we've always sort of been interested and curious to explore different musical genres, because that's all the stuff we listened to when we were growing up. I'm not saying we're jazz players, but I can swing. I can swing on a hit, or sorry, that sounds
no, we know what you mean. We know what you mean.
We know you can swing.
Yeah, So, I bring all that stuff into my music when I'm not meant to be swinging, and things like that. So for me, when, club culture and youth culture, it evolves really quickly. And, and the music, once we got out of the Blitz, because it suddenly became popular, really. It was only a year and a half, if that it was open. And we would, after a year, we were already gone, I think, something like that, because you get, it suddenly went around the country. Lady Di, Diana, she started wearing frilly shirts. It's all like up the high streets. And, you change. So we're then going into something else, probably something a bit more military. I don't know. But all that was part of the look anyway. You just come up with your own look. You can, just for one day, to quote Bowie,
Yeah.
And so we were going, still the same guys, other DJs, even Rusty, you go to Rusty's site or whatever, he's got what he was doing at the Blitz. There's the playlist, all the tunes. There's what he was doing at, did they do Hell? But the other clubs, Camden Palace.
Yeah.
And they're all different musically. But there was a big dance bit, like going back to a Rare Groove and all that after the electronica, because it had been kind of robotic, like. It then loosened up with funk and, salsa, samba, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was when we sort of latched onto it. It was kind of a group thing because we were there. It wasn't like something we discussed, I had an interest in percussion drums, so I thought, right, get me some congas. So they did.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I was on chart number 1 and getting it out of my system. I still do it to this day. I love it. It's like, I feel better. And, done that, tick, gone, right, what's next? And then, that's how it evolved into that. True then came about because we realised it was like a collective decision, but, Gary as a writer, I guess, would have sort of clocked onto it straight away, and we did. We thought we were still seen as like a cult band, so we were playing these small places. We wanted to be the Beatles and the Stones, not either, both of them. I always say, why choose? Everyone used to say, who would you be, the Beatles or the Stones? And I used to think, oh, well, I'm Beatles and the Stones. What have we got to choose? Have all of it. Which we then, Gary started writing tunes, with soulful tunes, harking back to the albums we were listening to when we were mates before even forming the band. So Al Green and all that. So that came in there. I fancied trying something else. Gary, while I was on the percussion, had kind of stepped in there and played rhythm and lead guitar. And I remember thinking, okay, you crafty sod, I'll find something else. It was nearly a trumpet, because a mate of mine lent it to me, Chris Sullivan, I don't know if you know him, Blue Rondo a la Turk, and the Blitz. Yeah, DJ, still mates. And I had a trumpet, and I would say, trumpet, I've got a trumpet, he is Welsh. So I played it, and I got a couple of notes, and he said, I've had it for years, I never got a note out of it. So I thought trumpet, it could be that, but it's very limited. So I looked around for something else a bit more flexible, and in the charts at the time, it was a lot coming in. There was a lot of saxophone. I thought, I'll have a go.
Well,
within a year, I recorded the True album. I kid you not. I don't know how I did that.
I know. This was one of my questions. How on earth did you learn to play the saxophone?
I don't know. I look at it now. I don't even know half the notes, right? I don't know what that one is. I know where the shapes are. I'm here. I can't read music. It's all here. So, and even when I go for a note, and sometimes if I don't get it, that's nice. What if I do that? And off we go. And no solo I ever do, even True, is exactly the same. I have to say.
The saxophone in True is iconic. Like everyone knows it.
I wrote that in my head because I couldn't really play. So I sort of come up with a melody. I do it with most solos. Oh, they're always quite melodic, the sax solo. At least I'm having a rasp, which I also love, a bit bluesy or whatever. And I say, I can swing, but I don't. I got the timing, but I don't know the scales too. I don't practice.
Yeah.
Put it that way. But so with True, like most solos, I wrote the melody and then found out how to do it on the sax.
So you literally wrote the melody down and then had to work out how.
Well, I didn't write it down. No, I just had a tape go. Literally, I don't write music.
Yeah. It wasn't notation. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear all these things. I guess now, over the years, I suddenly realised I've got a good ear. And even back then, in recording the first album, I remember Richard Burgess. I mean, we're in the studio, and they were flummoxed because I said, I really can't stand that there's a rogue frequency in there, and it's doing my nutting. It really is. No one could hear it, and that was the first indication. Isn't that weird? I'm mad.
Yeah.
Indication I must be mad, but I could hear it. And then what happened because we soloed it, and they still couldn't hear it. It was it's a harmony that it wasn't in other people's frequency. But I heard it, and it was bugging me, like dogs. Certain notes bug dogs. Every time I heard it. And then by the time we'd layered on top, that frequency, all that was still there because I was outvoted. It got masked by other instruments, so I didn't hear it anymore. That's what happens. You mask things.
Yeah.
It was just coincidence that it was masked. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to listen to it again. So no.
And as you evolved from one musical style to another, and you'd been through the sort of punky power pop type stuff, I guess, with Gentry, and then the Spandau.
That was more soulful.
Okay.
But Gentry before, Makers was the power pop.
Oh, okay, right.
Still power pop. We went a little bit more sort of. We were actually floundering a little bit with Gentry, as in we couldn't find a direction, and it was literally just then that Steve Dagger again opened our lives again. A major influence, Steve Dagger. He's not just like a manager who takes a cut. No, he's a very inventive, and he's a visionary. He's ear to the ground, sweet guy, And so he introduced us to Billy's, like I say. And that was the other It was another. It galvanized us and gave us a sense of direction, whereas we were too old for punk. A year or two, that's quite a vast thing when you're teenagers. We were spot on it with this movement, which didn't have a name for ages. No name, Blitz Kids, all of it was good. The Futurists, why have you got to choose? Like I say, have all of it. But all of a sudden, Richard Burgess, I think, who was our producer, the first couple of albums, he was doing an interview, and he sort of said, these are like the new romantics, and that's what stuck. That's what stuck. I think it was him, although Perry Haynes might disagree, but it's like people trying to. But we were absolutely shocked and wouldn't have it. It was like, we ran away a mile from that description, the new romantics. Oh, absolutely not. I mean, if you new romantics and you're all dressed up like dandies or whatever, but sometimes like the Boston Strangler, So it wasn't just all frilly collars and stuff. It was military jackboots and stuff.
It was a working class thing as well.
Very much so, to better yourself and, none of us were really good at boxing, sports is always good for that. Get you out of your council flat, And it was great, though, the Blitz. There were people that turned up. They looked absolutely amazing. And they said, well, I've got to go, I'm back to work tomorrow. What'd you do? I'm a plumber. It's just normal jobs. You didn't care.
I love the anecdote from Gary Kemp that when you recorded the True album in the Bahamas, Talking Heads were there at the same time. And apparently Talking Heads sat in the shade around the swimming pool, whereas you guys were out sunning yourselves, roasting in the sun in your shorts and flip-flops. So, in other words, Talking Heads were still pale and cool, whereas you guys said, well, we don't care about any of that nonsense. We don't mind looking healthy.
We're on holiday. We're in the Bahamas. Come on. Absolutely.
So was that part of a kind of a process of just not being that interested in being kind of considered cool, like the kind of music press kind of idea of, maintaining mystery and whatever? It's like, man, we are loving this.
Yeah. I just think, we were really a tight unit. You got to bear in mind, it was like big inner circle, 5 members and the manager. That was like tight as you like for ages. And so we were all right. We were just living in our bubble. But, for me, I always think anyway, I don't know if we realised that then, but the most coolest people are the ones who don't give a toss at what other people think they care. I care a lot about people, but I really don't care what they think about me because it's actually, I'm doing it for me, not for them.
Yeah.
And that's what we were doing. We were doing it for us, and we were doing it for our little gang, our little... Who can't believe that we're in the Bahamas recording an album, Brilliant. Like literally hanging out with Chris, I forget his name now, but Tina Weymouth and
Chris France.
Yeah. Chris France.
Chris France, thank you, yeah. Brilliant, they were there all the time, but, well, actually, if you think about it, that's exactly, we were ushering in, or, no, it was, did we... When was Girls on Film? Where's the one where Duran are out, on the boat?
Yeah, Rio was 82, was it?
Yeah. Oh, that would be the one. Sorry, Rio, isn't it? Yeah. So it was, we were very much like, we were a bit jealous of that, if anything. It's like, why are we doing like the videos in the London dungeons and these or some great studio? They're in Sri Lanka on a boat, do you mind?
Yeah.
So I think it was not long after we went to like New Orleans. And then after that, Hong Kong, cost a fortune, which we ended up paying back eventually, but at the time, that's where it was all going. The yuppie thing, I guess, wasn't it? Pre-yuppie.
Yeah.
Just like lording it up. Yeah, come on. We never really got out of that, really, to be fair. I mean, obviously, it's different these days with the rest of the band.
Yeah.
I seem to have got away with it all this time.
Yeah, that's
kept
right.
under the radar,
I think you've answered most of my questions. I did want to ask
in
you...
in one answer.
Yeah, no, that was very helpful.
It was good. I didn't have to ask the question. I did want to ask you about, in the album Heart Like a Sky, you wrote a song called Motivator.
Yeah.
And it's very sequence and drum machine heavy. I was just wondering did you have like a setup at home?
Machine. It worked exactly like I told you about Gary with the synth. He wrote a song around just getting this going like that, right?
Yeah.
It was a couple before, but I remember there was someone in there had a drum machine. I can't remember which one it was, and I said after rehearsal, I said, "Can I borrow that?" A couple of nights. Yeah, go on. Took it home. And the first thing, I kid you not, I pressed the preset and it went doom doom gat doom doom gat doom gat go. That was it. I don't even think I did anything else. Immediately I was off. Bum bum ga ga ga. A bit of guitar, And that's how that came about. And I just literally wrote the song around that. I still do that song. It's I sing it with a big sort of tongue-in-cheek at my shows. I did it over the weekend, a couple of gigs I just did, and it goes down all right. It's a little bit.
I really like it. I think it's a great song.
Different program. Well, thank you. It's very cheesy.
It's of its time, but it's great.
Yeah, it is of its time. And I can do it now. 65, I do what I like.
Life should always be that simple. Songwriting should always be that simple, Steve.
Loved it, and I miss all that, and we should do it again. No one's getting any younger, and I personally have been saying it for a long time now. We should a farewell tour. I'm the only one who speaks to all the others. There's always a squabble, and I just think time's too short. I'd like to do a farewell tour for 2 main reasons. For the fans, because they never had closure. It's always they split up, they're back together. What they done of it, we never did split up. No one had really the bravery to come out and say, well, that's it, guys, except for Tony, when he did leave. But, you can't leave Spandau. He's so associated with it. You know what I mean? You can't. You have to be invited to leave.
So,
but I also another big reason I want to do this is for us. We never had closure, and I really would like to have that closure for the fans, for us. And that next picture where all 5 of us are together in a photo, there's not 4 of us at one of our funerals. You know what I mean? That would be horrible. It would break my heart unless I'm the one that's just been buried. I've rattled on, haven't I?
So, Steve, you're the one. The hopes of the world are on your shoulders if you're the one who's speaking to everyone else.
Well, I wouldn't take that responsibility. No, absolutely, because these have been happening over a number of years. Yes, we're together, someone leaves. Together, someone leaves. It's like driving me nuts. So now I just get on with it, and like they know what I think. You know what I think. I ain't doing anything about it. You have to speak to the others, really. And I just got on with all the things I do, which I'm fulfilled. I've got various band setups, different people. Everything I do, I'm good at putting people together, making a cosmos, a solar system of people that get on. It's so different, the personalities. You've got to be careful who you have in a band. You're going to be that close. And it always works. And it's family environment. And it's that camaraderie, which I so missed when Spandau, went like that the first time. I really missed it. And that's a big thing for me. And I always have it with all the setups that I put together. And I'm happy,
Well,
it would be great if Spandau got better again. Have a word with him, will you?
Yeah. Well, in the Spandau documentary, Soul Boys of the Western World, what struck me the most was that everyone seemed to be having such a great time in the band, and you seemed to have the best time of everyone. You were smiling and laughing in almost every kind of shot.
I always get accused of that. Because I am. It's my environment. I always felt comfortable on the stage. I love music, and there's something about being on stage as well that I do sort of say this to people. It's a real special thing in that unless you're a musician, you probably wouldn't get it. You get maybe actors if they're ad-libbing, and even though you might have a script with a band, it all changes and little things, and there might be a mistake, but that sort of connection between musicians is so fast. It's nods and winks, it could be any little thing, or even anything you play. You don't even need to look at them half time, but if you do, you're not even hearing anything. You can just see by the way they're looking or listening. The messages go really quickly if you're playing live. And that is something I realise I thrive on. I've done that a lot, almost like flying by the seat of your pants. Yeah. So I'm not happy to do anything safe. Don't like choreography, get bored after the end of a long tour, and I go off piste, but it's difficult with known songs. Well, let's say with Spandau to go off piste with True, for example. Sometimes I don't have any choice because I've hit the wrong note, even after these years. But at least it keeps it interesting, and and they get enough notes to make them, the audience, to make them feel familiar. But they also get a little bit of, that's different, just take it somewhere else. I'm not interested in carbon copies. So I am happy when I do it.
Well, I think our hour is nearly up. But Patrick, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
Oh, look, there are various other questions I could ask. The rivalry between the Arsenal fans and the Spurs fans in Spandau Ballet. You were outnumbered 4-1. Is that right? That's something. I'm a lifelong Arsenal fan myself, so I'm just going to be piling on.
Well, no. I will tell you, Patrick, that until I was 7, I was in a place overlooking the Arsenal football ground, Highbury.
Right. Yeah.
And until I was 7, I was an Arsenal fan, not by choice. It's just that I had to. Yeah, no, because and I lived on like a full floor block of flats right at the end where everyone on that top floor hang their washing up. You know, in the end it's open there. You go out the back there, like, and you could see like maybe a third of Highbury
At the clock end?
The clock end, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was very popular, you know, because of that. and then I remember we used to sit there and we were like, yeah, we're only like 6 or something.
Yeah.
You know? and then we go quiet because it was up the other end and we couldn't see it. And then we like, it's really. But from there, I mean, my father, I'll be really quick with this, but my father wasn't around, you see. So for 9 years of my life or something, just popped in every now and then. And so my mum brought me and my younger sister up on her own. She had 2 jobs and what have you. So she worried about, you know, me not getting enough company and, you know, sort of father figure, I guess. Yeah. So she asked her brother, George, if he would take her to football. The only thing is, he was a Spurs. He's a big Spurs fan. He still is. You know, all his family are.
Yeah.
So every 2 weeks, he's come and pick me up from the age of 7, 1967 this is, and take me up the other end of Seven Sisters Road.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny all this. But I do have unless Arsenal are playing Tottenham, I'm probably the only spud that has a soft spot for the Gooners because of that. So yeah, don't go too harsh on me, mate.
Okay. So there was never any drama within the band about the rivalry.
Well, no, they get gobby, you know, they all get gobby.
Yeah.
Steve Dagger's a Spurs fan, so
I didn't
sort of go. We never got verbal. We used to say like, have you got the score? Have you got the score yet? Yeah, it's not good or whatever. And they'll come at me, you know, especially John Keeble. My God, he's militant.
Oh, really? Okay, he was the worst.
Well, he's more like that, you know. He used to be.
Yeah.
He's not now, of course, no.
Yeah, no.
But, they're all fans, of course. But, you know, I like football, to be honest. I played a lot of football. I scored a goal at Wembley in a charity match. Played with Bobby Moore.
Wow.
You know,
when was that?
Paul Gascoigne was a friend of mine. Paolo Di Canio played for you.
Yeah,
I've done a lot of footy. Yeah, it's just charity games, but, you know.
Fantastic.
I love it. Yeah. Played with Ian Rush a few times. Rush,
that's amazing.
Lovely guy.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Okay, well, listen, Steve, it's been great speaking to you.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
And also a real honour. We were big fans of Spandau Ballet back in the day. Not only for the music, but the fact that you guys are so iconic that you were there at the beginning of a new genre, which is just amazing. Once again, thanks for your time. This has been great.
It's been my pleasure, guys. Really has. And I hope to speak to you again soon. Definitely, if the other idiots, if I get their heads in the song in Spandau, you know, we'll do it again.
Tony Hadley is touring Australia next year. So, we'll see if we can confront him and say, listen.
Yeah, well.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
You're very welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.